So guys, I have a conspiracy theory to present to you today, and it's a pretty wacky one, but bear with me because I think there is a slim chance we could see the redesigned iMac at the March event. Actually saying it out loud does make me realize how crazy that seems, but actually I do have a few tidbits and a few leaks that could suggest this, and so without further ado, make sure to like and subscribe for the latest Apple news and rumors. Be sure to join the Butterfication squad too. And with that being said, let's just tuck in. Right, so the main crux of my argument comes from Jon Prosser because he revealed a few tidbits about the iMac release that were pretty interesting. Number one, he stated on his podcast Genius Bar that the iMac, according to his sources, will be launching way earlier than what the current information out there might suggest. Now, as for this other info, the only credible piece of information is from Mark Gurman, who basically says the iMacs should be coming at the end of the year. So John and his sources clearly disagree and think the iMac should be coming out way earlier. And to add to that, John expands on the products that are ready to ship in March according to his sources, and basically mentions the usual AirTags, iPad Pro, AirPods 3, and Apple TV. Those aren't exactly surprises, but then he mentions at the end a wildcard option, and that is the iMac. He says there is a chance the iMac could be ready to ship in March. Now, of course, John does specifically mention it's a wildcard product, and so that basically means he himself is unsure about the release of the iMac in spring, and so what other information do we have that could of course suggest more concretely that the iMac is launching in March? Well, that brings me to the Cryptic tweeter himself, Mr. Love to Dream, because I've been going through his account and I've been looking at some previous Cryptic messages that I delved into, and I kind of had an epiphany because some of these could be suggesting some things about the iMac and the release date that we didn't know before. So here's a riddle he's given us in the past, 1-2-4, and of course he asks for the answer. That's 3. That's pretty obvious, but what does this 3 signify? Well, delving into his timeline, we see a tweet that's been labeled as 3, and attached we have a video of the history of the iMac, and so it's pretty bait. He's referring to the iMac, and the 3 could signify the March release. Now, the plot thickens because we have another cryptic message from Mr. Love to Dream, and this time it's an acronym. It says SNCFITM. And initially, when I delved into this, I thought this meant several new colors for the iPad this March. But then I realized the I in the acronym could really be a lot of things, because it can be iPhone, iPod, or more specifically, iMac. And so guys, think about it. Several new colors for iMac this March. Now initially, this seemed completely bizarre, but now we have the leak from Jon Prosser showcasing the new colors we can expect from the iMac. And so this is very much what I think this acronym means, and so it could be revealing that Love to Dream thinks we could see this in March. My theory doesn't even end there, because we have one more cryptic tweet from Mr. Love to Dream, and that is the acronym IDLWBBS. And initially, again, I thought this meant iPad debut likely will be both sizes, but again, this could be iMac, and so we could be getting some sort of confirmation from Love to Dream that we could see both sizes of the iMac pretty soon. Now, as for additional leaks, we have the China Times, who claimed a while back in early 2020 that we would see a new iMac in spring 2021, which of course is the time frame we're in right now. And also back in the early days of 2020, Min Chi Kuo told us that the new 24-inch iMac should launch at the end of 2020. And of course, now we know that wasn't the case, but of course, I'm assuming that wasn't due to Min Chi Kuo. I think that was partly due to production issues and supply constraints that, of course, forced Apple to push back the date. And usually when Apple has to push back a product that was expected at the end of the year, they release it in the first half of the new year most of the time, especially at the March event. And so you can start to see why I have this bizarre theory. And finally, to conclude my thoughts, I thought I'd mention a few things I've noticed with the supply of the current iMacs on the Apple Store. So when the launch of a new product is pretty imminent, we of course see the delivery dates of the existing products slip because of course Apple doesn't want you buying those. They want you to wait for, of course, the refresh that should be happening very soon. And this is exactly what I'm seeing right now because certain configurations of the iMac have been pushed back till the 24th of March, which conveniently is a day after the March event that should be taking place on the 23rd. Not only that, but certain configurations of the 21.5-inch iMac are just not available to buy, and so that's really odd, unless of course we have a successor on the way pretty soon. And the cherry on top of all of this is that the iMac Pro is dead. Apple's discontinued it out of the blue, and honestly, I don't think Apple would randomly pull the plug on the iMac Pro, especially since it hasn't been touched in years, and yet they kept it around for this long. And so the fact they precisely took it down a few weeks before this March event leads me to believe there is a small chance this could be hinting at the fact a new redesigned iMac with an M1X could be replacing the iMac Pro. And we've all seen the benchmarks of the M1X. It's around 100%, you heard me right, 100% faster than the M1. So yeah, it's gonna easily beat the Intel iMac Pro, and I can see that replacing the iMac Pro lineup as a whole. And so yes, those are my findings, and in a nutshell, if you want to know my theory, I think there's a possibility we see an M1 powered entry-level iMac to replace the aging base 21.5-inch iMac, and there is a very, 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 very slim chance we could see the whole iMac lineup like Laughter Dreams Cryptic tweets could be suggesting. But tell me in the comments below, do you agree or disagree with my theory? Anyways, thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe for the latest Apple news and rumors. Join the Butterfication Squad too because we're pretty awesome. Check out the video in the icon above about the March 23rd event and everything we know so far. And on that note, I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya, peeps.